Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to our ISKM Kids channel. We from International Hare Kṛṣṇa Mandir are presenting with our Madhavas, Bhagavad-gītā bites. Expected by our dear spiritual master A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, children who are given to a Krishna conscious education from early childhood present great hope for the future of the world. Our Madhavas, the children from the age 10 to 15 years, are benefiting from Krishna conscious education through our online children classes. They are learning Bhagavad-gītā slokas and translation, understanding purpose by Srila Prabhupada, hearing about Krishna's pastimes, the six Goswamis, Vedic stories, Sri Prama Samhita, and so on. As an offering on Janmashtami to our sweet beloved Supreme Lord Krishna, here is a humble attempt showcasing their understanding on Bhagavad-gītā through this question and answer session with them. Let's hear what they have to share with us. Here we go.
Briefly explain why Srila Prabhupada presented an English commentary on the Bhagavad-gītā when there were already many editions of it available.
In almost every other edition of Bhagavad-gītā, the author has represented his own personal opinions without touching the spirit of Bhagavad-gītā. The spirit of Bhagavad-gītā is mentioned in Bhagavad-gītā itself. It's like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, we have to follow the direction written on the label. We can't take the medicine according to our own will or take a suggestion from a friend. It must be taken according to the directions given on the label or the directions given by the physician. Similarly, Bhagavad-gītā should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself, Lord Shri Krishna.
Why did Krishna choose Arjuna to speak the Bhagavad-gītā to?
Krishna chose Arjuna because Arjuna was Krishna's most intimate friend and devotee. It is stated in Bhagavad-gītā 4.3, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, means Krishna is telling the secret of Bhagavad-gītā to Arjuna, and Arjuna can therefore understand the mystery of Bhagavad-gītā.
Explain why we need a bona fide spiritual master.
One can be freed from the material perplexities of life only by approaching a perfect bona fide spiritual master who is completely Krishna conscious, because such a person is said to know everything, including the science behind the solutions to our material perplexities, and hence can guide us in executing the real purpose of our life, as well as solving our perplexities. Moreover, real happiness can be achieved not through wealth or economic development, but rather by consulting a bona fide spiritual master. This is the reason why we need a bona fide spiritual master.
Name 4 authoritative acharyas who accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Briefly elaborate on what the subject matter of inquiry for human beings should be.
Hare Krishna! One who understands the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest way of understanding the subject matter of self is to accept the statements of Bhagavad-gītā spoken by Lord Krishna. It is also required sacrifice and great penance either in this life or previous life before one is able to accept Lord Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can be known by causeless mercy of a pure devotee.
What are the 5 kinds of devotional relationships one can have with Krishna?
One may be a devotee in a passive state, and one may be a devotee in an active state. One may be a devotee as a friend, and one may be a devotee as a parent. And the last but not least, one may be a devotee as a conjugal lover.
Define the word Bhagavan. Who is that Bhagavan?
Parasara Muni explains that Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. No one, however powerful, can claim that he possesses all riches and all strength entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Why is a pure devotee called Gudakesha? Who had the specific name in the Mahabharata?
Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance, either in waking or in sleep. A devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, quality and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. That specific name was given to Arjuna.
What is material compassion and what is spiritual compassion? Explain with an example why material compassion is wrong. How is spiritual compassion exhibited?
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Material compassion is to show compassion for the temporary body. Spiritual compassion is for the indwelling eternal soul, our consciousness, our individual identity. Compassion for the eternal soul is real compassion. Just as a man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress. The gross material body, simply having compassion for the material body, will not bring actual relief. One must actually show compassion towards the eternal soul, that is, the drowning man himself, and not the outward dress.
What is the meaning of Krishna's name Govinda? Explain it with reference to both non-devotees and devotees.
Hare Krishna. Govinda is a name of Lord Krishna, which means the giver of pleasure for cows and the senses. The devotees try to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy one's own senses. Although Govinda is not meant for satisfying our senses, if we try to satisfy the senses of Govinda, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. As for the non-devotees, the Lord will satisfy the desires of all living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they may covet.
Which caste should the bona fide spiritual master come from? What is the qualification of such a spiritual master?
The main qualification of a spiritual master is that he should be the master in the science of Krishna consciousness or Vaishnava. It does not matter which caste or creed the spiritual master might be from.
Briefly explain the 3 stages of realization of the Absolute Truth.
Hare Krishna everyone, today I'm going to briefly explain the 3 stages of realization of the Absolute Truth. Absolute Truth is realized in 3 phases of understanding, namely Brahman or the impersonal, all-preservative spirit, Paramatma or the localized aspect of the Supreme within all within the hearts of all living entities, and Bhagavan or the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Name the first 5 and the last 5 personalities in our disciplic succession, Parampara or Sampradaya.
First 5 in the Brahma Madhava, Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. Krishna, Brahma, Narada, Vaisadeva, Madhavacharya. Last 5 in our Parampara, Jagannatha Dasa Babaji, Bhakti Vinoda Thakura, Goda Kishora Dasa Babaji, Bhakti Siddhartha Saraswati Thakura, and His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Mention all the signs that indicated the victory of the Pandavas in the Battle of Kurukshetra.
Lord Krishna was present by the side of Pandavas
Whosoever side the Lord takes is always victorious. The battle was about to take place at Kurukshetra, which was considered even in the Vedas to be a holy and sacred place. Fighting in that place, according to Dhritarashtra's fear, could favor the Pandavas, as they were known to be pious and righteous from the very beginning. When the battle was about to start, the armies were blowing their respective conch shells. When the Kauravas army blew their conch shell, there was no sign of nervousness among the Pandavas army. But when the Pandavas, along with Krishna, blew their respective conch shell, it seemed as if the Kauravas' hearts shattered. This indicated that the Pandavas had full faith in the Lord and on his guidance. The chariot on which Arjuna and the Lord were seated was donated to them by the fire god, that is Agni, by the fire god, which could conquer all sides in all the three worlds. The flag on Arjuna's chariot had the emblem of Hanuman, who is the eternal devotee of Lord Ram. This indicated that the Pandavas would win the battle, as both Lord Ram and Hanuman were present by his side, along with Sita in the form of goddess of wealth.
What are the 5 topics that are covered in the Bhagavad-gītā? Mention them in Sanskrit and English.
The 5 topics covered in Bhagavad-gītā are Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Janvika, the living entrance, Prakriti, the materials of nature, Kalma, time, Kalma, activity.
What are the 4 divisions of social order of human society? Define each of them.
There are 4 divisions of social order in human society. The first one is the Brahmanas, or the intelligent class or priestly class, who in modern terms may be known as a literary man, a scientist or a theologian. The second class are the Kshatriyas, or the administrative and warrior class, who take charge of government affairs and ensure the protection of the citizens. The third class are the Vaishyas, or the mercantile class, who engage in such occupations like agriculture, cow protection, and trade. The fourth class are the Sudras, or the laborer class, who work for the 3 classes in exchange for some remuneration. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.
When can a guru be rejected?
When can a guru be rejected? According to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Only pure devotee, being 100% Krishna conscious, is a bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life.
Why is Lord Krishna referred to as Hrishikesha?
Hare Krishna. Now let us see why Lord Krishna is referred to as Hrishikesha. So, first of all, he is the owner of all senses. And then the living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses are also a part of and a parcel of his senses. The Lord, situated in the heart of all living entities, is directing and controlling all the senses. But he directs and controls all the senses of these living entities in the terms of surrender of the living entity. In case of a very pure devotee, a pious person dedicated to a devotional service in the terms of service to the Lord, he controls the senses directly. For example, we can see on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Lord Krishna controlled the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus he got this wonderful, particularly name, Hrishikesha. Hare Krishna.
What are the 3 classes of transcendent bliss? Name them in both Sanskrit and English.
Hare Krishna. 3 classes
classes of transcendentalists are the Jnani, the imperialist, the yogi, the meditator, and the bhakta, the devotee.
What is the split succession?
Perfect knowledge is spoken by the Supreme Lord and handed down through a chain of spiritual masters to their disciples, one after another, without adulteration. This kind of succession is called disciple succession. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Why should we offer our respectful obeisances to the spiritual master?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We should offer our obeisances to our spiritual master because he takes us out of ignorance by opening our eyes with the torch of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
How was it possible that Arjuna was in ignorance if he was the personal friend of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Hare Krishna. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance. But Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and chalk out the plan of life. Then man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.